Okay, in this lesson, we're going to talk about rational numbers and what rational numbers are and how to switch between different forms of rational numbers. So a rational number is just basically any number that can be written as a fraction. And the important part here is that when we write it in a fraction, we want to make sure that we put it in simplest form, okay? And basically what we mean by putting it in simplest form is that we want to write it to where it is expressed as a ratio of relative prime numbers. And relative prime means that you have numbers that have no common factors between them other than 2. So when we write a fraction in simplest form, it means that the numerator, or the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number, don't have any factors in common, and so you will factor out all of the common factors. Okay, and factors, just to remind you guys what factors are. Factors are the numbers that you multiply together to get another number. Okay, so the example I gave here is that the factors of 6 are 1, 6, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, 3, and 6 are factors of 6. All right, so go ahead and copy these parts, these notes down here, this top part and this bottom part as well. All right, so now that you have copied those notes down, let's do some examples. So the factors of 12, well, we can go 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Okay, the next one would be 4 times 3, and we start repeating ourselves. So the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. And you notice I went 1, and then I went 2, and then I went 3. Okay, and I would have just continued that trend. Okay, so the factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Factors of 15 are 1 times 15, and 2, well, 2 doesn't go into 15, so it's not a factor. We have 3 times 5, and 4 doesn't go into 15. Okay, so the factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. Now, what we want to do is we want to find the greatest common factor. Greatest common factor. Well, so there are several factors that they have in common. They have 1, 1's in common. Okay. 2, no. 3, they have 3's in common. 4, no. 5, no. 6, no. 12, no. And 15, no. So the greatest common factor here is equal to 3. So to reduce this fraction up here to simplest form is we just divide by the greatest common factor. So we divide by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 15 divided by 3 is, 15 divided by 3 is 5, not 15. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 12/15 reduces down to 4/5. 16 over 80, or 16/80th. Find the factors of the numerator and denominator. Well, 16 is 1 times 16, 2 times 8, 3 doesn't go into 16, and we have 4 times 4. Okay, 80. So the factors of 16 are, and I'm going to write them as 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Okay, 80. Okay, so we have 1 times 80. We have 2 times 40. We have 3 doesn't go into 80. 4 times 20. We have 5 times 16. We have 6 doesn't go in there. 7 doesn't go in there. 8 times 10. And 9 doesn't go in there. We've already been at 10. So the factors of 80 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 16, 20, 40, and 80. So now if we look at the greatest common factor, well, we have 1s in common. We have 2s in common. We have 4s in common. We have 8s in common. We have 16s in common. Okay. And the fact that 16 is the biggest factor of 16, there's not going to be any of these 20, 40, or 80 going to be in common. So the greatest common factor is 16. So we're going to divide by 16. 16 divided by 16 is obviously 1. 80 divided by 16 is 5. So it's reduced to 1/5. Now, the thing is that with larger numbers like this, it gets a little bit tedious and it's easy to make a mistake when we're trying to find all the factors. So sometimes we can find the factors of the numerator and denominator by using a factor tree. So 16 would be 4 times 4. We reduce the 4 times 4 down into 2 times 2. Bring this times down, so times, and then we do 2 times 2 again, okay? So we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. 80. We can say 8 times 10. All right, or just pick one of the factors of 80. I could have done 2 times 40. Okay, but I did 8 times 10. 8 is 4 times 2 times 10 is 2 times 5. And then the 2s and 5s can't be broken down anymore, but 4 can. So it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. I just brought these straight down. Okay. So the factors of 80 written as a factor tree in prime numbers is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Okay, so then all we got to do is just cancel out. To reduce it, all we have to do is just cancel out the common factor. So these 2's cancel out, these 2's cancel out, these cancel out, and these cancel out. We don't have anything left up there. So we could say that's the same thing as times 1. And so what do we have? We have 1/5, which we had already figured that out. But this is just another way or a different way of figuring that out. Okay, negative 18 over 29. All right, we have a negative number. That means that one of either the numerator or the denominator is going to be negative, one of them. And normally we use it as a numerator. Okay, 18 factors of 18 are 1 times 18. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 and 18 over here. I'm going to do 2 and 9. Okay, I'm going to do 3 and 6. Okay, 4, no, 5, no, and 6. So the factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Factors of 29. Factors of 29 are 1 and 29 because 29 is a prime number. So the only common factor they have is 1. So basically what we're doing is we're dividing everything by 1. And it's what that means is that it is already in simplest form. So we just write it as negative 18 over 29. All right, 18 over 27. Okay, well, these are relatively small numbers, so we could do it using a factor tree, or we could do it using the common denominator, I mean the common factor, greatest common factor. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18. We just figured it out. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Okay, and then 4 no, 5 no, and 6 no. Well, 60 we already got. And then factors of 27 are 1 and 27. 2, no, it's not an even number. 3 and 9. 4 no, 5 no, 6 no, 7 no, and 8 no. Okay, so it's 1, 3, 9, and 27. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it down out the way a little bit. Okay. So we can see here that the greatest common factor here is going to be 9. All right. So we're going to divide by 9, divided by 9, and we end up with it being 2/3. Okay. All right. Now we're moving from reducing fractions to converting decimals to fractions and all that. So decimals that repeat or terminate are rational numbers. So 0.25, 0.25, that is, it ends. 0.25 ends, so it's a rational number. It terminates. If I have 0.3333 and it keeps on going, that means that it repeats, so that also means that it's a rational number. If we convert a decimal to a fraction, you write the decimal number over the place value, then simplify. If we look at the one up on top, 0.25, well, 0.25, if we look at that, this is tenths. The first number is tenths, second number is hundredths, so that would be 25 over 100. And if we reduce that down, that reduces to 1/4. If we convert a repeating decimal to a fraction, write the decimal number over the place value minus 1, then simplify. So if we're talking about 0.3, that the 3 repeats, that 3 is in the tenths place. So we're going to write it as 3 over 10 minus 1, which is 9, 3 over 9, and 3 over 9 reduces down to 1/3, okay, because you divide both numerator and denominator by 3. All right, convert to a fraction. Okay, here I want you to write all the factors of 100 down because you're going to need this. So copy this into your notes. All right, so we're going to say this is 62 over 100. Okay. So when we look at this, we don't have to be concerned about any factors other than these factors right down here that are factors of 100. Okay. So because these are the only factors of 100. Okay, and so we want to be able to divide 100 by something, so we don't have to worry about anything else other than these. Well, so if we look at 2, does 2 go into 62? Yes, it does. So 2 does. Okay. Does 4 go into 62? No, it doesn't. Does 5 go into 62? No, 62 ends in a 2, not a 5 or a 0. Does 10 go into 62? Nope, doesn't end in a 0. 20? Nope. Closest one would be 60. 25? Nope. And 50? Nope. So the only factor that goes into 62 and 100 is 2. So we're going to divide it by 2. Divide it by 2. 62 divided by 2 is 31 over 100 is reduced down. Okay. Now we have a mixed number, 5 and 37 hundredths. So it's 5 and 37 over 100. Okay. Well, so the 5, that's going to stay as a 5. Okay. And okay, so the 37, is there anything that goes into 100 that also goes into 37? Well, 2, no. 4, no. 5, no. 10, no. 20, no. 25, no. And 50, no. So that is already, you would just write it as 5 and 37 hundredths. All right, because 37 is a prime number. Okay. How about 8 and 75 hundredths? Okay, so 8 and 75 hundredths. All right. So 2, let's see, 2, no. Let's see here. 4, no. 5, yeah, 5 goes in. 10, nope, 10 doesn't go into 75. 20 doesn't go into 75. 25, yes, 25 does. And 50, no. Okay, so the largest one is 25. So we're going to divide it by 25, divided by 25. And we end up with 8. We'll just bring that 8 over. 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. Okay. All right. All right. 26, 25. Tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. 2625 over 10,000. Okay. Well, when we look through here, let's see here. 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, and 50. All right. 2, no. 4, no. Okay, and the reason I just use this is because if it goes into 100, it'll also go into 10,000. Okay. 5, yes, 5 would. 10. 10 doesn't go into 2,625, so 10, no. 20, no. 25. Let's see here. Well, if we get a calculator, okay, we might have to use a calculator. So 2625 divided by 25 gives us 105. Yeah, so 25 does. Okay. And 50 does not. Okay. Okay, so we're going to divide by 25. So divide by 25, divide by 25. When we did that over here, we discovered that this is 105 over 10,000 divided by 25. 10,000 divided by 10,000 divided by 25 is 400. Okay. Then when we go back through it again, we can see here 105 divided by 25. I do not believe goes. 105 divided by 25 does not. No, that's 4.2. But 5 does. Okay. So divided by 5, divided by 5. And so that would be 21 over 80. and that's reduced down to lowest forms because only factors of 21 are 1, 3, 7, and 21. None of those go into 80. Okay. The other thing we could have done was we could have gone more. 5 times 25 is 125. Okay. So 5 times 25 is 125. So we could have, the biggest thing is the greatest common factor would have been 100, 125. Okay. All right. Basically, to write a fraction as a decimal, you just divide the numerator, the top number, by the denominator. So 12/16, you go 12 divided by 16, and you end up with 0.75. And for to convert a fraction to a decimal, I'm good with you guys just using a fraction to do that. I mean, not a fraction, a calculator to do that. Okay, so that's it. Make sure you've got all your notes written down, and we'll talk to y'all later on.